The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
We're so excited, and there's been lots of hubbub in the break because we have welcomed to the studio a wonderful young actress and entrepreneur, I guess, Lillian Carrier, and she is here with her wonderful service dog. This is Luke that she's here with. And so we did a little different configuration in our studio to try to make it comfortable for Luke. Of course, it's a very weird space for a dog, and Luke is a big dog.
He's a very big dog, yes.
So at some point he may want to, get on the floor. We'll see. But it was great fun to watch you guys come in here and you talk to him and get him up on the couch, and super duper fun. Of course, you know what they say about children and dogs. It's like everybody focuses on the dog, right? So, but I'm here to talk to you, but sometimes to talk about Luke. So Luke is just so enticing. He's just absolutely beautiful. But Lillian is a wonderful actress. If you are not watching Everything's Gonna Be Okay. Now, I always mess up the title of it, but it's Everything's Gonna Be Okay.
Yes.
Because sometimes I say everyone's gonna be okay, or, I don't know, I just mess it up, but it's Everything's Gonna Be Okay. Wonderful new hit show that's on Freeform. Freeform is a cable channel that it used to be Disney Family, then it changed to Freeform Disney, now it's just Freeform, and their like buzz thing is that it just slightly leaning forward or something like that. It's shows with an edge. I think it's a little bit cutting edge, and this show is cutting edge. And so Lillian plays the character Drea on the show, who's a good friend of Matilda's. But you also have another role on the show. Tell us what else you do besides playing Drea.
I was brought on as a consultant on the show.
Okay. Yeah. And what exactly do you consult about?
Autism, specifically, yes, and service dogs.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about you as an actress, and then we'll talk about when you auditioned for the show. When did you start acting?
So, I've always done youth theater, but this was, my first real, professional acting anything.
Well, it's a pretty big first, I gotta say.
Yeah, it was a huge first. I went in thinking, there was nothing. I was just I'm gonna audition, it's gonna be fine. Just a fun thing to do. And then
did you already have an agent, or did you go in without an agent?
No, I was not pursuing acting as a career. I just thought, I saw that they were auditioning autistic people for the role, and it was more I want to meet these people. I want to find out what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I went in for the audition for that purpose and to have fun with it, right? I was I did youth theater. This could be a thing, and it led.
It was very brave and bold. I'm sure a lot of people looked at. First of all, where did you see it posted, or how did you find out about it, that they were looking for individuals on the spectrum?
My job coach, who was helping me figuring out what I wanted to do with my life, just came across it because she works with a lot of autism people, and they reach out with any opportunities. And she said you should. She basically talked me into it because when she first presented it to me, I was absolutely against it. And then she was like, "This is just go for the experience. You'll meet people. It's good executive functioning practice, and I think you'll just enjoy it."
I love that.
Yeah.
Are you glad that they talked you into it?
Oh, I'm so glad. It's been such a wonderful experience. Everyone there was so sweet and so nice.
I love it.
And I think this show has done a great job of presenting autism in such a nice way, and to start conversations about like what all that stuff in that show means.
Yeah.
And
Crazy good. So you went to the audition, but you took Luke with you because he goes with you everywhere, right?
yeah. So to clarify, the audition was actually for Matilda in the pilot when I first auditioned. And yeah, when I went in and I met Josh Thomas.
Who is brilliant.
So brilliant, so nice, and like I really feel like he nailed the voice of autism so well, and he truly understands us. Yeah, I went in and met him, and he saw Luke, and I absolutely fell in love with him. And then he was just, I saw him looking at him, and then he just looked at me and he was like, autistic people can have service dogs? And I'm like, yeah, it's a thing, obviously. I have, and I explained to him a little bit about what they do and what he does for me. And he thought that was really interesting, and he said, I could see Matilda having a service dog. And I was like, oh, that would be really cool. Like, we'd have to talk about how well he gets on with Luke. And he's like, no, Luke would be Matilda's service dog. And I was like, oh, well, we could try that out. He's never done that. Like, he's not trained for that.
Yeah.
And then when I didn't end up getting the part, he gave me a call and was like, I don't want you to freak out. Like, I know you're a little upset, but I'm gonna if this goes to series, I'm writing you a part in the show. And that's how Drea came to be, and Duke as well.
And so he's called Duke on the show.
He's Duke on the show, yes. Because in the pilot, there's already established character named Luke.
Got it.
Who is Matilda's crush. So it would just be confusing to have two
I didn't think about
Lukes.
that.
Yeah.
Of course, that makes total sense. But I mean, I love that story that you went for the audition, and of course brought your dog because that's what you do.
He goes everywhere with
and
me.
that you got cast and he got cast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best story ever, and a fun role too.
Such a fun role.
Yeah.
I was so excited, and like a lot of the autism side of it was based off of me as a person because it was written for me. So it was really cool to be able to just feel free and be able to let those things go and not have to, hide all of those things in this character, right?
I love it. I love it. And so there's lots of different times when we see the interactions with Matilda and her friends, and in particular with you, and you play a very pivotal role in terms of talking with her and being her confidant for a lot of different things. And there's some stuff, like, people need to be watching this. And if you've missed, because the show debuted in January, so you've missed several episodes, but it's a half-hour show. You can get caught up really quickly. I know I was behind 2 weeks and I wanted to watch before you came in, and I went and watched it on Hulu. You can do that. But it plays on Thursday nights at 8:30, if I'm not mistaken, on Freeform.
So the 7th episode will be on tonight.
That's right. And I love that all of the episodes are named after bugs and spiders because Josh Thomas's character is an entomologist on the show. And so there's that running theme through it, which I absolutely love. And I have theories about things, and I've had theories about things. But anyway, they're like the topics that you guys cover on that show. Whoo, you don't kid around.
They're big ones, yeah.
Whoo,
And
big.
they're very important ones that I feel like should be talked about more, that for some reason are taboo to touch. But he brings it out in such a comedic, fun way that also is heart-touching. And I feel like he makes those topics approachable, that you can watch that episode and then afterwards sit down with someone you love
and discuss
it.
And the stuff that there is nothing off the table. I mean, the first time that I saw it, and because I got to meet you, at AutFest, they debuted it for the autism community, just the first episode. And so they sent it to me ahead of time because I was going to be the moderator for the panel. And I, it gets sent to you from Disney, and I expected to see something very Disney, right? And I started watching, I was like, this is Disney? Disney got all hip and cool and edgy, like edgy. We're not kidding around, edgy.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my husband about it then, and then he was watching an episode with me a couple of weeks ago, and he went, "Wait a second, this is Disney?" I mean, and to the point where one of the questions that I had, because with Matilda, with her storyline, and I don't want to give anything away, you guys need to go watch it, but she says, I'm budding sexually and I want to have a sexual experience, and she goes about that in a way, and then we see some things that come to fruition, and I was like, what was it like being on, because the girl who's playing Matilda is also identifies herself as being on the spectrum, and I was like, I want to know how this was dealt with on the set and how you guys make everything comfortable. Your character had a kiss with somebody, yes? And you're the consultant. Like, what was that like on the set?
So there was a lot of prior stuff that I sat down with Josh Thomas and talked about sensory stuff, which was a big thing for me specifically. I'm hyposensitive to touch, so I had to explain exactly how I like to be touched, what would cause a sensory overload and all that stuff, which also helped him create those characters.
Yeah.
And that is put into my characters specifically, that we went down to costuming to make it more comfortable for me. That if you notice from day one, Drea wears a compression shirt, which was for me as a person. I talked about how with my hyposensitivity, compression is really helpful in keeping me grounded and calm, and we discussed whether we wanted to hide that from the audience or show it, and we decided like this is a show about people with autism.
Yeah.
Let's show it. So under every single outfit she wears, she has a compression shirt on. And
I guess I didn't realize that's what it was.
Yeah.
I thought that was just her style, but I wasn't thinking about it, that's what that is. Interesting.
And then, we definitely, anytime there was intimacy or touching between the characters, I would discuss it with both the director and the other actors. And there was lots of discussion beforehand, and the other actors were very comfortable with saying the same things of what their needs were and talking with me and the directors and each other.
Which honestly is how it should be with everyone.
Yeah, I think definitely the other actors would say things like, I'm uncomfortable if you touch me here. Just like there was always, everyone has those needs. So to just being able to vocalize and share that. And then of course, anytime you got overwhelmed, 5-minute breaks were allowed. I definitely had a few times that I stepped out of the scene, because you see that scene, it's 3 seconds, but we, did it 5 to 6 times. That specific kiss or intimate moment, whatever it was.
Yes.
So.
Yes. We don't want to give too much away, but you should be watching it.
Yeah.
But I guess one of the things that I love about the show is that, normally when you're watching television and they sort of reveal something and you go, okay, well, that's going to have an arc of like 3 or 4 shows. And that's not the way Josh writes. It happens either in that moment or the next scene. There is no waiting until the next episode.
Yeah.
Stuff happens. He just like rockets through storylines, and you find yourself going, whoo! And making noises. I literally make noises. I'm like, oh my goodness, and clutching the couch and doing things. It's exciting.
It's so exciting. It's so fast paced, and I feel like it's one of those shows that you can watch 6 times and get something new out of it every time, and different laugh points where you're laughing at something new each time that you didn't notice before. So many characters, so many things, and especially rewatching, you'll see characters pop up that had big moments later you didn't notice before.
Yes. I could see that.
Yeah, because you'll see characters that have big episodes later in the season that have been there from the beginning.
Yeah. It's so fascinating, and I got to be honest, because Josh is for you guys who don't know, we got to have him come on the show. He said he would. He's hilarious. He's an Australian comic, and he's done other shows, but I think this is his first big American show.
Yeah.
And he's writing it, and he's starring in it, and he's very involved in every aspect of it, and he is hilariously irreverent. Like, he says the things that people go, he didn't just say that, did he? And I guess he's like, because I got to spend time with you guys that day, and he seems to be that way in real life too. He's got a very interesting take on the world, and I just appreciate that he could have done a show about anything, but he decided to, the premise of the show, you guys, is that it's this half brother from Australia who comes to visit, and he's got these two stepsisters, and he ends up, teenage stepsisters, he ends up having to really be their caregiver, and one of them is on the spectrum. That about encapsulates it, right? But hilarious and poignant. There's that old thing about I laughed, I cried. You really do. Every episode you laugh and you cry. Every single episode. And every single episode, there's something that takes my breath away. Just takes my breath away. Okay, so you were there, you're there as the consultant. And at what point, so he called you and said, I've written you a role. What point did he say to you, and I want you to be the on-set consultant?
So it was kind of gradual, that it started off that he found out how much knowledge I had, and that, what I did was, for a living, is help people with
Let's talk
understand
about that.
autism.
What do you do besides being a professional actress on a hit show?
Me and my mother and my sister founded a nonprofit called Artism. We developed this because it's geared toward adults transitioning from high school to whatever is their next step, or adults in their adult life who just need that little extra push or little extra help. Because reaching that age of 18 and graduating high school, and I tried every program out there. I tried mainstreaming in college. I tried college with help. I tried just going into supportive living services where I was in full-on housing, being taken care of, and then people came to my house to take care of me, and it seemed to be either geared toward you can do it on your own or you need 100% support. And there didn't seem to be that middle ground of like, I'm pretty capable, but I need a little extra help.
Yeah.
So we just were like, it's not out there, we can't find it, let's make it.
Awesome.
And that's kind of how it came to be. And then it's kind of grown in different directions as our clients have asked for things. And right now our main focus is social programming, that there is so much out there socially that people don't know how to find what is the right niche and is socially comfortable for autism. So we have been looking at places and activities that are sensory friendly, that are easy to navigate, and creating social programming where it's 100% people on the spectrum, plus a few people bring, a friend that they feel comfortable with. So there is, no sense of like, I did something wrong, no one understands me, and they can have some sort of social life. We get people in their 20s, in their 50s, in their 80s, all seeking this out as something they've, not had enough of.
That's got to be very rewarding to see that you've created something that needed to be created. You filled a hole. Now, where do you do this? Where is this located?
This is currently located in Redondo Beach. We are now starting and planning some online stuff because we know it's wanted elsewhere. And we do hope to eventually expand once we can and be anywhere and everywhere we can, and hope that other people, take this up and do it too. But right now, we are housed in Redondo Beach.
What a wonderful thing, and what a wonderful platform. And now that you are on this show and have the ability, I'm sure it's going to open doors for you to be able to talk in places that maybe wouldn't have known about autism before. So what a wonderful thing. And also, just like you were able to educate Josh Thomas about an assistance dog, having you on the show with an assistance dog has got to be informing a whole lot of people about what that's like. For anybody who's listening and still doesn't understand what an assistance dog can do for someone like yourself, let's just talk specifically about you, because everybody's sort of different. But how does Luke help you?
So there are two very specific things he's task trained to do. So one of them is deep pressure therapy. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's similar to like when you have a weighted blanket or a weighted vest or a nice hug. So having autism, when you have that sensory overload and you're not quite in your body, everything's painful. It gives you, if you have pressure on certain pressure points, it just gives you something to focus on and pull you back into your body and able to calm down those sensory reactions.
Is it like a grounding sort of thing? It grounds you?
So for me, it's he will either lay sitting down on my lap, or if I lay down, what's most helpful to me is on my chest, and he will lay right on my chest and give me that pressure wherever I am.
And is it sort of instantly you feel a little bit less anxiety?
It takes a little time because it's really about like pulling me back into my body and focusing on that one sensation instead of whatever sensation felt harmful to me. And then the other thing he does is when I reach, so that's preemptive before I reach that sensory overload. The other time is if I really do reach that sensory overload, I lose motor function and just freeze in place because it activates that fight or flight response. And if there's nothing to fight or flee because it's a sensory reaction, my body just shuts down and tells me, you're safe here, don't move, don't do anything. And I cannot move, which can sometimes not be safe for me. So he's trained to grab my arm and pull me toward the nearest exit or what he perceives to be the safest place, which he usually finds like a cuddly, cozy blanket, he thinks, and at home is his bed.
Wow. So he'll help guide you to his bed, and then the two of you will sit there and
then
cuddle.
I can recover and get away from whatever was causing me that sensory reaction,
And how long have you and Luke been working together?
About 2 years,
And is your life better because he's in your life?
He has made a huge difference. It's made me feel safer to be able to go places without, a parent or a friend. And I can go places without telling people that I have autism and I need this and I need you to know that if this happens, because he can just take care of it. I can step out and then step back in and just be myself rather than feeling like I need to be taken care of.
And just knowing that he's with you, is that sort of like a comfort in and of itself?
I mean, it's always nice to have a friend by you every day, right?
Someone you can rely on. Who's as beautiful as he is. I mean, I'm sure he walks in the room and I'm sure he lights up the room. Everybody wants to talk to him.
I mean, he's made socializing easier. People approach me and ask me about him, and then if I approach them and just say something about him, it creates something to start a conversation. And it's just, oftentimes you walk into the room and it just creates a happier mood for people. He's definitely something on set that people look forward to.
Absolutely.
Having there,
I can only imagine. But we should say that is what he does for you, and that for other people, their assistance dogs do other things. And some people have a companion dog, which is an entirely different thing, correct?
Yes. So service dogs have legal rights, and they're trained specifically to be able to go everywhere. There's also emotional support animals. That is more of a therapy thing, an emotional thing, and they're not legally allowed everywhere or trained to be everywhere. But if you ask permission, a lot of times people will let you have an emotional support animal everywhere. But again, they are not specifically trained, so they will sometimes bark or run around or do things where you see he has been quiet and just laying in the corner and trying not to be noticed, which is what more of a service dog is trained to do.
And I have to say, because it's so hard, because the outside world looks at people and we all place judgments on things, and I look at you and I see this incredibly brave young woman, incredibly capable, incredibly wise, and a real advocate for the community, and a real role model. But we all know that somebody can look like everything is going well, and yet it feels differently on the inside, right? I had to explain to somebody yesterday that I'm shy. And they were like, Shannon, you can't possibly be. You talk all the time. I'm like, that has nothing to do with what it feels like on the inside for me. But so just maybe a little bit of insight for the people who are watching. Is this comfortable for you, or is this a little bit of a a push for you?
This is comfortable for me because this is a topic I know. This is something I speak about all the time. But if you were to bring me in to talk about something different, I'd probably be more nervous, think I'd say something wrong. Social situations can definitely be hard for me. I have huge executive functioning problems, and I have to like work really hard to do it right, because it definitely, being an actress, there's so many things with executive functioning that I had
Give
to...
them a little clue of like an example of what that might be that would be hard.
So, for example, your schedule is different every day, and you have to be on that. You have to show up on time, otherwise everything's thrown off, right? So if you have an 8 o'clock call time and you show up at 10 o'clock, they can't film. Like, it's just a problem. So, and you only get the times 24 hours in advance. If.
Sometimes you're at your hotel and they slide it under the door to tell you what time you're supposed to be there tomorrow.
And then you have, every scene is different, and you have a bunch of things to remember. You're blocking your lines, your interactions, while on top of, getting it all in sequential order, because we did not film in the order that you see on the screen. So there's a lot of things that you have to do and prepare, and so that was a lot of stuff that I had notebooks and notebooks planned beforehand, color coding everything, so it was all completely ready. And I did share, I think it was episode 5, the party entrance scene. I had completely the wrong script for that scene. I came in, I was saying different lines, everyone was so confused.
Oh dear.
And it took us a while to figure out that I just hadn't, kept up with my executive functioning and gotten that right. But it was fine. I got the new script and was able to memorize it.
Wow.
Because there are updates frequently on the writing.
They'll rewrite. But now, so do you have to do that all by yourself, or does somebody help you to be able to manage all of that?
So I hired my sister. It doesn't necessarily have to be my sister, but for this show it was my sister who definitely helped me with it. That she drove me to make sure I was on time. She made sure that I did have the lines I needed, and she got me water and like made sure like there were things, and she made sure he went to the bathroom and all that, because I couldn't do the executive functioning for Luke and me at the same time during that. So she did do that for me.
That's awesome.
And and I hope that I can continue to hire someone to do that stuff for me. But it does cost money. I know she would have probably, as my sister, done it for free, but like she was working really hard, and like she does need to have her own job.
Well, I think it's notable that anybody who is doing that level of work, especially doing consulting at the same time. So you had multiple jobs going on.
I did have multiple jobs.
They all have assistants. So because that would be hard for anybody, and especially if that's already an area where you have some needs, then I'm so glad you took care of yourself. And said, I got to have some support here. That's really the key. And here's what I see is that even when I was catching up on some of those episodes last night and seeing some of the situations, and my mind was just sort of blown, because we're seeing more and more that studios and directors are saying, I've got a character who's on the autism spectrum. I want to audition actors, and I want to see if there are actors who can do this, right? And they're finding the actors, which is wonderful. We're all excited about that. But there is still some trepidation on the studio's part that we've been hearing about, that like, but will they be able to handle this kind of a circumstance? And I got to say that you and Kayla are showing them that absolutely that you guys are handling. I was like so excited for you guys last night, looking at some of those later episodes where you have those kinds of things going on. It wasn't just talking about, there was physical stuff happening, and to hear that you guys were taking care of yourselves, both as women but also as people who have different sensory needs. I'm really proud of you guys. What an amazing example for all of us.
Oh, it's amazing, and I love that they went with authentic casting from lead to background actor. Anything written in the script, any character with autism was played by someone with autism, and my favorite scene representing that is episode 2, classroom scene. every single actor in that scene was autistic.
Wonderful.
From all of the classroom.
Well, that right there is a reason enough to support the show and watch it. But I guarantee if you watch it, you're going to find yourself shocked. Get ready. You're going to be shocked every single episode. You're going to get emotional every single episode. You're going to laugh every single episode. Sometimes you're going to be like, I don't think I should be laughing at that. But you're not going to be able to help yourself because Josh throws it out there. And then even, amongst the characters, he'll be like, what? That's not funny? He is, I don't want to say evil genius, let's just say genius, but he's a mastermind at getting us to see things in a different way. So unfortunately, we're out of time, but it's been so lovely to have you come here and to meet Luke. And if people want to be watching Everything's Gonna Be Okay tonight at 8:30 on Freeform, go to your local listings, see where it is, go get caught up on the first episodes. Write to me and tell me, but you're going to be shocked. I'm just going to tell you, get ready. It's edgy, but it's brilliant. And I love it. I just love it. And have from minute one. So check that out on Freeform. We are welcoming back to the show Lillian Carrier. She plays Drea on Everything's Gonna Be Okay, and she's an amazing actress, and we're so thrilled. I think that we're welcoming her right now to come into the show. Lillian, are you there? She was in the waiting room. Let's see if they're able to connect her in so that that she can be here with us. She's there. Lillian, good morning. Can you hear me? Hi, Lillian. How are you?
I'm good.
It's so good to see you. Are you stuck in the rain too?
Raining right now, but it is very gloomy. It looks like it could rain any minute, and it was
Okay.
raining a little bit ago.
Okay, we're getting downpour here, and you may even hear some of it on because I'm in a part of my house where it's really loud on the roof, and normally I love that, but for a broadcast, it maybe isn't the best thing. So Lillian, welcome back to the show. And we're so excited because since the last time you were on the show, the season finale of Everything's Gonna Be Okay aired, and you had another role on a hit show that you did. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I made an appearance on NCIS New Orleans in the role of Rachel Kinnaman. It was really cool. So she is on the spectrum herself, another autistic character, super cool. And the beginning of the episode opened with her father hanging out eating breakfast, and all of a sudden there's gunfire and chaos, and you don't know if her father is dead or alive and on the run, and it's all crazy.
And so what was that like for you as an actress? Was that super fun? Was that was hard?
It was new, but it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Definitely a new challenge, but everyone on set was amazing. They all made me feel very comfortable. And the amazing thing about the set was all already had experience with autism, and because in my experience, when I had experience with it, they don't know if you're capable, ask you, and like there's always I don't know if they can do this, but they have a PA on their show. It's absolutely everyone's favorite person, and he is on the spectrum himself, and his name is Desmond, and he's just the coolest person ever. So when I showed up, they were like, yeah, like she got cast in the role, she can do it, there's no question, which was amazing to experience.
I love that because I don't know that everybody realizes what a difference it is. I know at one point in my life, I wasn't aware of individuals on the autism spectrum. And then the more I met people on the spectrum, the more comfortable I was. And now it seems shocking to me that people have this thought, wondering if somebody on the spectrum is capable of fill in the blank, right? Because I know so many people on the spectrum, and I know it's different for all people. But for you to be on a set where people have already had that experience, where it's already been demystified, it had to have been just that much more fun for you to be there because you didn't have to go over that hurdle.
Mhm.
Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it was really cool having him on there, as he took really good care of me and was able to like really understand me and go, predict what I needed and stuff, because he's been in my position. I mean, not the same exact one. Very helpful.
You know, we're talking a little bit in the chat, and I'm gonna go ahead and, because we were talking about later on having your sister join us
Yes.
on the show, and we very much are I misunderstood and thought you guys were in the same location. I don't know why it didn't occur to me that you're probably sheltering in different places. So if you want to take a second, and not where anybody else can see, but in the chat here, if you would give the email address to our producer, he will email the link to your sister so that she can get on with us. Oh, she's already there. He's already taken care of it. Traven is so on top of it. So wonderful. We'll have her join in just a few minutes. So I wanted to go back and talk a little bit about Everything's Gonna Be Okay. Because this show, Lillian, this show, it has turned into like our favorite thing. But I don't know if you heard me say that, you know, Traven loves it too, but we watch it and we watch like this. Do you find people saying that I watch and I go, I can't look, oh my gosh, over and over and over. It's just so shocking, but it's so hilarious. Do you have other viewers that are telling you that they find themselves like having to like cover their faces and cover their eyes because they're like, oh my gosh, that's happening? Or am I the only person?
I feel it's more the parent side, because
Are you saying we're
thinking
fuddy-duddies,
thinking
Lillian?
of your children in that situation is very different than thinking of yourself in that situation, right?
I'm sure you're right. I suddenly
Feedback
feel
from
very
the
old.
individuals on the spectrum has been like, I can't believe that you're doing this. Like, it's showing we're capable of these things. It's like, I'm just really happy that it's out there, and we're, you're not handling us with kid gloves, and we're not just the comic relief. Like, we are characters, we have stories, and we have capabilities to handle those stories.
Yeah, and the stories are varied and different, and there's a lot of discussion about sex on the show. That's one of the things that I find myself going, oh my gosh. But it is by no means the only thing. It seems like everything is on the table, and the things that the teenagers say to each other. Even there was the one scene when you guys are all there, and the mother from Australia is on the big screen and having a conversation with you guys. And I had to pick myself up off the floor because I kept falling off the sofa. I was laughing and screaming and jumping up and down and going, oh my goodness. Right. I mean, it's hard to watch and not, it feels like an interactive experience that, you find yourself going, oh no, or I can't believe they just said that. It's like my favorite guilty pleasure right now. So it is available. The show is for Freeform, and it's on Freeform, but it's also available. The whole of season 1 is available on Hulu. Please tell me that you guys have been picked up for season 2.
We haven't been informed yet. We're still waiting.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm sorry. That's unacceptable. Who do I have to call? You can't leave me here.
I know, we're all just like sitting here going, tell us.
No, did you hear me say at the beginning? I want to be in that house right now to see how they're dealing with seclusion. I want to see how your character is dealing with your relationship, long distance, and not being able to be there. I want to see this. I can't stand it. I find myself thinking about it. This is crazy. So we have to, hey, Freeform, this is Shannon. come on already. Green light season 2. Now, for people who aren't watching, tell them a little bit about Drea and what her deal is.
Okay, so Drea is she's 17 in high school. She and Matilda are seniors. She comes in episode 2, and I think her entrance is absolutely like the best scene ever. It's a great introduction. She just says like whatever on her mind. There's no filter, and it's all quirky, crazy. And yeah, she is the person who comes in and goes, Matilda, whoa, what are you doing now? And she really has Matilda's back, and she's really her like close friend in this trio of friendship. And while Matilda goes off on her crazy adventures, she's just going, oh, that I just love her.
I just love, the thing I love about Drea is that she is the embodiment of that honesty.
Yeah.
That she says what she's thinking, even if it's, because so often people are like, well, I didn't want to tell the truth and hurt somebody's feelings. I think what's often people misunderstand that for folks on the spectrum, they're not looking to hurt anybody's feelings, and they care about other people's feelings, but they're going to tell the truth because they feel it's the right thing to do. And I just love that Drea is so true to herself always. Even when somebody is trying to tell her, well, you need to be this way for me, she manages to stand up for herself and speak up for herself and say, that's not really me. This is what I'm comfortable with. I just find her such a delightful breath of fresh air. I don't want to spoil for people who haven't watched, but your character falls in love. Yes. We won't say with who, but it's fabulous. And there is a moment that is so divine to me where your character, says the big, I love you, and the way you express it as an actress and what happens. I'd love to know, like, how much of that was scripted and how much of that did you add? Like, it's when things are really good, like it's impossible, you don't think about it till afterwards, but I want to know, did Josh write it that way? How much input did you have? It's just one of the most delightful moments I've seen on television in my life.
Okay, so for the consulting, it's blurred how much I had input and how much was already in his head, because there was a lot of it. We had many conversations with each other where I never saw the script. It was just him asking questions, me giving feedback, me talking about what I wanted to see, and the things I didn't like about other shows. And like one of my main things I asked is, I want stimming to just be accepted. I want stimming to be beautiful. I want it to come out in very positive moments and not just negative moments. And so that's something that's seen throughout it. And then that I love you scene where those such intense moments come out. It was put in there, and it was so the chew necklace that Drea has, that was included because of me. I had a meeting with him and some of the other writers, and they asked questions about it, and then the next day I got the script and it was included in there. And then working in the service dog, in that scene,
is that Luke?
That day we were discussing, like, it was just stimming, and then he's like, we don't have a lot of you actually using Duke in the series. Let's just put it in this scene and see if it works. If not, we'll cut it. And then it ended up just flowing so beautifully, having all of those aspects together. But yeah, most of it was written in the script at the table read.
And for people who don't know, the service dog that's on the show is your actual service dog. Is that him that we're hearing right there? That we heard.
That's actually my mom's dog.
Oh, it's not even. But is Luke there with you?
Yeah, Luke is here with me. He's just over here.
Okay,
Luke,
well,
come here. Let's see if we can get him on screen. I don't know if we can.
Hey, Luke. He was in our studio just like a month ago. There he is. Hello, Luke. You're so beautiful. And he is so good mannered. He is just a charmer. He is. But he's on the show playing the role of his name is Luke, but he's on the show playing Duke. And he is delightful on the show as well. We're just thrilled to see him there. Now, you know, you had done a little bit of acting before this, is that correct?
I've done like
Everything's
theater in like high school years back, but nothing like this. This was my
so
first
was it
audition, my first thing. Yeah.
Was it your intention? Did you ever say to somebody, look, I want to be a working actress? Was that what your goal was? Or you
No,
literally
it
fell into
was never a plan of mine. I mean, I always thought it might be a cool thing to do, but it was never initiated as a plan. It was never like a big dream of mine. I just enjoyed learning and hanging out with my friends during it, and I had fun doing it in high school. But no, my plan was either to go into some sort of biology field, and then I ended up in school going for a teacher's certificate to hopefully work in like elementary school, preschool, and then maybe work my way up to eventually be a biology teacher. But like school is really hard for me. So I didn't know if I could make it to that level. And yeah, I was in college at the time. I was taking one class for my teaching degree, and the audition came up for Matilda, and I went for it. So I was like, why not?
And ended up with the role of Drea. But so now has this all changed for you? Now is it your intention to be an actress for the rest of your life? Or you
I'm gonna ride this ride as long as I can. I don't know if this will be the rest of my life, but it's definitely something I'm pursuing. I have an agent and a manager now, and I'm learning about the industry and how to audition and do all that. And I've gone on a couple, and so I got NCIS. And yeah, hopefully this continues. But in the meantime, I do Artism most days and then audition whenever I get a chance.
Well, great segue. Let's talk a little bit about Artism, and you tell me when you want your sister to come in.
Yeah, be part of the conversation about
okay, so Chloe, Traven, can we have Chloe join us? And maybe, if you wouldn't mind, Lillian, would you introduce your sister to us?
Okay, so I have a twin sister. Her name is Chloe. Together, along with my mom, we founded a nonprofit called Artism that supports adults on the spectrum. Hello, Chloe.
Hi, Chloe. I sort of met you a couple of weeks ago at the tweet event, but I don't think I actually I don't think we had a big long conversation, and I didn't realize is that your dog that was there that night?
Yeah.
And what is your dog's name?
Benji.
Benji. I had a longer conversation with Benji, but so thrilled that you're here. And Chloe, am I right that you also work as your sister's assistant on set? Is that true?
Yeah, well, actually, I was Luke's assistant.
I love that Luke has an assistant. I absolutely love that. So what kinds of things were you doing on set?
So I was making sure that Luke was taken care of, that he ate his meals at the right time, that he went to the bathroom when every few hours. So he has a pretty regular schedule. So I would make sure that all that was taken care of, so that Lillian didn't have to worry about that. She could just focus on her job, and then she didn't have to stop everything if Luke was in a scene and be like, hey, we all need to stop so my dog could do something. So I did that so she didn't feel like she was getting in trouble. And so yeah, and then I also would, if she needed food or anything, I would run and grab her food. So what I like to do is she had her favorite breakfast kind of stuff, so I would grab her favorite donut if they had donuts out, and I would and she would go straight to like hair and makeup, and I would bring food to that trailer, and I would put food in her dressing room and water and stuff so that she had whatever she needed wherever she went, so that she didn't have to worry about that, all that kind of stuff while she was memorizing lines and running around doing whatever she needed to do.
And as I recall, when you were on the show before, Lillian, you said that this was really essential for you, that you
Mhm.
could not have been free to do what you did on the show had your sister not been helping you. But I can't imagine, I mean, you're both young, talented women, and to see your sister, I mean, it's wonderful seeing your sister getting to shine like that.
Yeah.
But to be her assistant, and sometimes when it's all about her and you're the person to get the water, was it ever, did you guys ever have disagreements about it? Did you ever feel like you were on the back burner, or were you just okay with it, Chloe?
No, I was so happy for her. I mean, honestly, I was just happy to be there because I love film, and I just like was grateful to be on set when I really didn't have much of a reason to be there besides supporting her. And like I've seen her for years. She's been acting since I can remember, like since she could talk. Like she was on stage, maybe even before that. And she never got a huge part, and I was always like, oh my god, she's beyond talented, like she could be getting Academy Awards, she's like at this higher level. And like I'm like, am I going crazy because no one else saw this? And then she auditions and gets a part written for her on a show, and I'm like, okay, someone else at least sees this talent, and so I was like so happy for her, and seeing her validated in the way like everyone was validating her on this set that like I've never seen before. It was just incredible to see that.
Well, I gotta say, what a remarkable sister you are. And Lillian, how lucky are you for both of you, how lucky are both of you to have each other? What a wonderful thing. I'm impressed that two sisters could be so wonderful. I gotta say, it just from like meeting the members of the cast that I have, it seems like it's probably a very fun set to be on. Is that true from both of you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's very goofy, silly. We all have a great time. I think Kayla is the most serious one on set. That she's very particular, and like we all respect that she's got to be focused, got to do things in her way. But for the most part, it's a very goofy, fun set, and we're all messing around and having a great time.
Well, and Josh Thomas, I mean, how brilliant and talented is he? The if we're seeing just a sliver of what goes on in his head, he's got to be one of the funniest people I've ever seen. Is he very focused on the set too, or is he just hilarious fun?
So he wears every hat. So he, producer, writer, star. He is just chaotic, running everywhere, trying to do everything at the same time. So while he does have his goofy silliness, he's very much just everywhere all the time, and like. But yes, he keeps it fun.
I remember my first day on set, he was running literally around the entire set. So I was watching Lillian do one of the scenes in the classroom, and Josh came running by in heels, and then came running by a second time like 5 minutes later in tennis shoes. And I was like, why did he change his shoes? What's going on? I found out later that the heels was something he was going to wear on the show that he needed to break in.
Yeah.
I think it was in the a scene where he danced. So he was literally running around set with the headset on, listening to the scene while breaking in his shoes. And he would run. The reason he was running past me was he was going to set to tell someone some note about the acting or directing.
I can't even imagine because the show is so hilarious. I remember the scene where he was dancing in the heels. Too much fun. A couple of people have written in and said some things. Donna wants you to know that it's so cool to see stimming accepted, Lillian, because I know how important that was to you. And she says echolalia too. And then Heather says it's to both of you, it's incredible to see how much you've both grown as people since taking on this role. So truly wonderful. And Heather, thank you for writing that in. Probably somebody who must know you both. So tell us about Autism. We were going to talk about that.
So Chloe, is there somewhere you want to start?
Well, Artism started because after high school, we couldn't really find any programs that or services that were really working for us, and or that even existed. So we started just talking about like all the things that we wish existed. And I remember all these people in our town, when they would get a diagnosis, or their kid would get a diagnosis, we were the go-to people, like, what do we do now? And so we started to go like, why are we waiting for someone else to create this? Why don't we? And so we started, that's sort of how Artism started, and we were pretty much doing it before we made it an official company. And so some of the things I wanted was like just someone older or further along in their autism journey that I could talk to about the things I was going to. So we started mentorships. We started a life map program where you meet with someone who helps you break down your goals into manageable achievements once a week. We started support groups and social activities. You know, just all
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Where can people go to find out more information?
Artism.com.
Okay. And then is it just, can people only participate in your community, or is it something people can participate with from a distance?
Well, right now it's worldwide because everything's online right now. We're not doing anything in person, but we do in-house as well normally. But right now, and also everything all the way through May, I believe, is free right now if you wanted to try out any of our services for the next month or two and see if you like it.
Okay, cool. You know, we didn't really talk about this in the beginning because I sort of feel like it, you know, I don't know whether it's anecdotal or not, but you know, I had the opportunity to talk to Lillian before on the show, but not with you, Chloe. So people are asking questions on, you know, in the chat and online and on our live feature about. So Lillian, I always hate to ask people to disclose what their diagnosis is, and I'm not going to ask you guys, but if you choose to, I guess I could say that if you choose to talk about how you identify yourself. They're asking how you guys each identify yourselves.
Oh, so we're very open about this, that autistic, 100% autistic, diagnosed at the age of 16.
Yeah, we were diagnosed at the same time. So,
and
yeah.
Are you the only two kids in your family, or do you have brothers and sisters?
We have another sister.
Okay, and you know, obviously we're not going to ask her, she's not here to identify herself, but I would imagine that how you are, even though you're twins and you both have this diagnosis, I would imagine that you are still very much your very own people, and that you have very different issues and needs and concerns. Is that true, or are there things that you guys have very much in common?
Yeah, we're very, very different people.
We're almost
very, very different needs.
Are you willing to talk about that a little bit? Like what are the things that are particularly of interest to you, Lillian? What are the things that you struggle with, maybe?
Yeah. So I love rules and logic and everything fitting in their perfect box. And when it doesn't, like, my mind breaks down and I have like huge trouble comprehending, and all I want to do is solve it. And usually when that case happens, and there are gray areas in life, there isn't a solution, and that just, I can't handle that. That's a huge problem. Where Chloe seems to just live in the gray area a lot of times.
Is that true, Chloe?
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
I'm cool with not having answers to everything. I think it's even kind of cool to like that's
So I gotta say, in this
possibilities.
this COVID isolation, which is driving a lot of people bonkers because we want answers and people want to know when is it going to end. How are you both coping with this?
I think for the most part I'm doing pretty well. I have a friend staying with me who normally lives alone, so she has to come stay with me during this time, and she's keeping me sane. But recently I've just gotten used to hanging out with friends, which is a very new thing for me, and I miss that. And so this is a new feeling I'm dealing with.
Have you tried hanging out like in this format on a Zoom chat?
Yeah, I don't like it so much.
It's weird. It's
Yeah.
there's like a lag, and I always feel like I'm interrupting people, but it's better than nothing,
Yeah.
but it's not the same.
Right.
Not the same. And Lillian, how about for you?
I've been doing pretty well. I've been just mostly doing work, been very busy, so I haven't had much time to think about it. I know at the beginning I dove in and did like tons of research on it, but now I just feel like that just drives me crazy and it's not a good idea to do that. So like I stay away from like the news and information, and I'm just like, is it over yet? Just tell me that. I don't need to know anything else.
I think a lot of us are that way, but I'm curious, what kind of work are you doing? Is it schoolwork?
No, I'm not in school right now. Because I have a job and hopefully the acting continues, so I don't, the teaching, I might go back to that eventually, I don't know. But it's Artism, so it was a lot of the things converting it to online was me doing lots of research on what programs are out there and figuring out how to make it work.
Man, it's what everybody's doing right now.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm reading what somebody is saying. Somebody says, thank you for sharing gray. How about light blue or Chloe's own rainbow? Instead of saying that she's hanging out in a gray, that she's hanging out in her own rainbow. I like that. Okay. Okay, they're asking about twin. It seems so hard to find programs for adults in general. I struggle to find support in adult medical care, both for my autism and the set of birth defects I was born with. But part of that is both conditions are studied a lot in kids, even though they are lifelong conditions. So, but the part about, finding programs for adults in general, that's part of what you guys are solving with Artism, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what kinds of things are available right now through Artism in this COVID isolation?
So we have a life map program, which is an individualized coaching, where the client has some sort of goal, whatever it is, and we help them plan and figure out how to meet that said goal with whatever executive functioning they need help with.
And again, they would go to ourtism.com if they want to do that. And is it you guys doing the coaching or is it somebody else?
The two of us don't do coaching. We do have someone on the spectrum that does coaching, as well as a couple people off the spectrum. And it would be based on like your needs and your wants and who you want to work with.
Wonderful.
And then there's mentorship, which is less formal and could be more emotion based. And it's you match with someone who's a little above you and has been through what you've been through. So if you're in high school, you can match with someone just out of high school and talk about what you're going through. and the mentor will be someone who's experienced what you've experienced and can help you through whatever situation that is. If it's you're looking for a job, someone who just got a job is we're hoping to get more people involved in that. But
I love that.
it seems
I
like
love that.
it was something I really wanted growing up, because it felt like everyone I met was lower because I was in programs that were that way. And then someone who's above me was usually neurotypical. And I wanted someone who's like just right at that level that could explain
Yeah.
to me, like,
Yeah.
how to
What
get
a
through
very
that,
helpful thing.
you
I
know?
love it. And again, people can go to Autism, OURtism.com. Chad writes in and says, I think the dogs are having the hardest time. Do you think that's true? Are the dogs having a harder time than you guys?
Yeah. As service dogs, they're used to being out in the world like everyone else. So they're just so antsy and really want to be working again.
Are you guys able where you live to take them for walks and be safe? Yeah.
A little bit, but right now there's just a lot of people walking.
Yeah.
Around our street seems to be a main street because the trail's closed, so they use our street as the trail.
Yeah, I have a big dog that's a rescue dog, and she needs exercise. She needs to be walked. And in the beginning, it was great because nobody was out on the streets, but now it's like, it's crazy how many people are out, and she's not good with that. She loses her mind. She turns into Cujo. They also wanted me to say to you that they said, love you both, really beautiful. You guys are really beautiful, and you are. Unbelievably, we've finished the hour, and it's such a bummer, but I hope that people will visit Autism, OURTISM.com, and see all the things that you guys have that are available and participate with you. What's that, Lillian?
Yeah, we have a lot of things out there, so please look us up. There's probably something for you.
And definitely go and check out the entire first season of Everything's Gonna Be Okay. And we need to start a letter writing campaign or something. I know that everything is a little in flux right now, but we are going to return to doing production, and we need to see season 2 of Everything's Gonna Be Okay. I can't live without it, so we're not allowing that to happen. It's, they have to do it. I don't care who I have to call. If I have to go lay on the road with a mask on my face, but they need to do a season 2. I need this. We all do. And for those of you who haven't watched it, you need to go watch it to see why. And what is the name of the episode on NCIS? So if they missed it, they can go and watch it on demand. Lillian.
Relentless, episode 15, I believe.
Yeah. All right. I'm very squeamish and have a hard time watching those shows, but I'm going to pledge to you that I'm going to go watch your episode. But NCIS tends to give me nightmares. Like I'm one of those.
It's more emotion based. It's okay. It's a cute story.
All right, I'm gonna go watch it. So ladies, I thank you so much for being here with us, and we're gonna look forward to hearing more. And Chloe, thank you so much for joining us. All right, thanks, and give my love to the dogs too. All right, thank you guys. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.